Welcome to Her Money Revolution. I'm your host, Angela Brooks, your guide on this journey to becoming a wealthy woman. As a certified financial planner, owner, and advisor at Family Capital Management, I'm on a mission to simplify the conversation around investing and to help women generate more wealth by making their money work for them. Join me as we navigate powerful financial planning strategies to help you achieve your personal and professional goals. This podcast is your go-to destination for no fluff, easy to implement financial and investing advice. If you are ready to achieve audacious financial goals, dream beyond boundaries, and generate massive wealth for you and your family, this podcast is for you. Grab a notebook. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to Her Money Revolution, the podcast where we empower women to grow their wealth by making their money work for them. I'm your host, Angela Brooks, and today we're talking about something that might not sound exciting at first. It's estate planning. But trust me, this is one of the most important parts of your financial plan. And I want you to hear me when I say this. Estate planning isn't just about dying. It's about living, and it's about making plans while you're living. It's about making sure that if something happens to you, the people that you love are protected and your wishes are carried out without added stress or cost or conflict. So let me just dive right in. This one is an episode, again, that you might need a pen and paper. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's do it. So what does estate planning really mean? By definition, estate planning is a comprehensive strategy for managing and distributing your assets, ensuring that your wishes are honored and protecting the loved ones that you have in the event of your death or incapacitation. Beyond just creating a will, it encompasses a wider range of legal documents and considerations that are designed to provide security and peace of mind for both you and your loved ones. So you might be wondering, why do I need anything more than just a will? And not everyone does. But let's talk about something really important when it comes to planning your legacy. A lot of people think, I have a will, I'm good. But here's the thing. Your will only kicks in after you pass away. And sometimes that leaves your family with a whole lot of legal hoops to jump through. A will is going to take your family through probate. They'll have to go through court and have a judge that's going to determine, this is based on this will. Here's what you're supposed to do. So that's where a trust comes in. A trust can do things that a will simply cannot. So for one, it provides privacy. So unlike a will, which becomes a public document in probate court, a trust can keep your family matters private. A trust also can help avoid probate altogether. So you won't have to wait to have a judge assigned. It means that there's less time in court, if any. There's fewer delays, and oftentimes having a trust in place is less money spent on legal fees in the long run. Okay, initially you may have those fees setting the trust up, but in the long run, it's a lot less legal fees. And here's the part that I really love, and I'm a planner, so this is maybe why, but it allows you to build in protections for your heirs. So my kids are young, right? So if something were to happen to me now, I can build into my trust saying, hey, I don't want them to have, they get a certain amount of money at a certain age, for example. Let me give you some other real life examples, okay? So imagine if you're a blended family where you want to make sure the children from your first marriage are provided for, but you also want to protect your current spouse, right? So that is a great real life example of why it would be important to have a trust. Or maybe you have minor children like myself, right? A trust is going to let you decide who manages money for them until they're old enough without the courts having to step in. So maybe you're comfortable with courts having to step in, but if you have multiple siblings or, if you're going to say, hey, I want my kids to go to my sister and she can also manage the money, then maybe my brother's like, no. There was another will out there that said, my sister can take the kids, but I get to manage the money. Then you have to go through court, right? And a judge gets to decide, hey, was there really a will out there or not? It's rare that those things happen, but it actually, in families, I've seen a lot of not great things once mom and dad have passed away. Like, it's a little bit sad, to be honest. But a trust is going to let you decide who manages the money for them until they're old enough. Again, and you don't have to let the courts get involved. So another example is if you want to protect assets from creditors or just make sure an inheritance doesn't get spent all at once, a trust can spell out exactly how and when money is used. So the key takeaway is that trusts aren't just for the ultra wealthy. That's a myth. A trust is for anyone who wants more control, more protection, and less chaos for their loved ones. It's about making your wishes crystal clear and giving your family a smoother path forward. But I do want to add this in again. Sometimes you really don't need a trust. If your assets are very simple, let's just say you have a home, a small bank account, and an IRA held at Charles Schwab, let's say, and no special family circumstances. So a well-drafted will combined with proper beneficiary designations might be all that you need, right? So your IRA at Charles Schwab has a beneficiary on file. Your family home has a deed on it. When something happens to you, it's automatically deeded over to whomever you say. Your bank account has a transfer on death on it as well. Also, if most of your assets are already passed directly to your heirs through, like I said, those retirement accounts or life insurance policies, they're going to have a beneficiary on file. So a trust may not add much value. Sometimes it creates more complexity. I'm working with some clients right now that, if you have an IRA or if you have that bank account, let's say, and you do have a trust, and that trust is the beneficiary, once you pass away, who's ever the trustee on that trust has to go open up a bank account in the name of the trust before any of those assets can be dispersed, which does make sometimes it really complex. You have to go get an EIN number for the trust. Whereas if it's a smaller amount or one beneficiary, there's benefits to having, especially with an IRA, having it be an individual that it could go directly to them rather than into a trust. But the bottom line, a trust is a very powerful tool. I know I feel like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but it's a very powerful tool, but it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, right? Not everyone has to have a trust. So the real question is for you, what is the simplest, most effective way to carry out your wishes and to protect the people that you love? That's the conversation worth having. All right, so now that we understand a trust and when it's important and when it may not be necessary, what are the key documents that every adult needs? So when it comes to estate planning, there are a few key documents that every adult should have. Whether you're 25 years old or you're 85 years old, there aren't just for people with big estates. These aren't just for people with, high net worth individuals. They're for anyone who wants to make life easier for the people that you love when something happens to you. So a will, we've mentioned this. Your will outlines your wishes. And if you have minor kids, it's where you name guardians for them. That alone makes it one of the most important documents that you'll ever put in place, whether it be in your will or your trust, especially if you have minors. If you don't have kids and your situation is very simple, maybe you're single and your assets are already transferred directly to your beneficiaries, you might not need to have a complicated will. But most people, it is foundational. And I would say, to have a will, even if it's like certain jewelry or your vehicle or your favorite desk or something, that you want to make sure gets to a certain person, that's a good reason to have a will. The second document is a power of attorney. This allows someone that you trust to manage your finances if you're unable to, for whatever reason. So someone that has the financial power of attorney, you think about them paying your bills, handling your banking, signing your tax return. If you're married and everything you own is already jointly titled, you might not need this immediately, but for anyone else, it is crucial. A lot of my clients right now, they are becoming power of attorneys over their parents' estate because their parents are either incompetent or for whatever reason, they just want to make sure that someone other than them can talk to me as a financial advisor and place trades on their accounts and open bank accounts for them or pay their bills because it's just a little bit all over their head. So having a power of attorney is a really important document. And then the third is a medical power of attorney, also called a healthcare directive or a healthcare proxy. This is where you name who gets to make medical decisions if you cannot. So you got to be very careful of who you pick to be your healthcare proxy. It takes the burden off your loved ones and avoids family conflict. If you've assigned one sister and the other one says, no, pull the plug, and the one says, no, take all measures to save mom's life. Okay, well, whoever is that medical power of attorney or the healthcare directive, also known as the agent, they have the final say. So some states even have really simple forms for this, so it doesn't take long and it doesn't have to be complicated to get that assigned. And then the fourth documentation is beneficiary designations. So these often get overlooked. I don't know why, because when you open up any kind of financial account, 401k, or a traditional IRA or Roth IRA, even a joint account, a joint account with you and your spouse's name on it, if something happens to both of you, you don't have a beneficiary designated, that goes through probate. So when it's a joint account, it's often called a TOD, so transfer on death. But they're overlooked for whatever reason, but they're incredibly, incredibly powerful. So retirement accounts, life insurance policies, annuities, bank accounts, sometimes they do pass directly to whomever you've named as your beneficiary, meaning no probate and no court. And sometimes banks, again, I think I just said this, but they're called paid on death or transferred on death. Or I've had some clients that will put their name on the account, rather than have a beneficiary designated, they put their name as a joint owner on the account. That's another option for a bank account. You wouldn't want to do that for an investment account. But keeping those updated is one of the simplest and most effective steps that you can take right away to make sure that you have your estate planning in good positions. And here's a bonus one, actually. This doesn't have to be a legal document, but I even have one, a letter of intent. So again, it's not a legal document, but it's more of the emotional side, or it's a heartfelt one. A letter of intent could be your chance to put into words your own values, your wishes, messages for your kids or loved ones. Just imagine how meaningful it would be for your children to hear your voice or to hear your voice in writing, even after you're gone. I think it's beautiful. Obviously, if you do it, I'd want to make sure it's updated every 4 or 5 years, 5 to 10. I don't know. 5 years, I think, feels like a better timeline, especially if it's letters to kids, because things change so quickly as the kids grow. But I'll say I have an email for each of my kids. They don't know it really yet. And I got them when I was pregnant with them, not Nori, because I didn't know she was a girl. But for my boys, I had it when I was pregnant. And my husband and I email our children, and we've emailed or given their email address to grandparents and aunts and uncles. And my father-in-law, who passed away in 2019, has sent emails to my boys. He passed before Nori was born, but it is so amazing and so special. I have not read them, but I've gone in there and I see his name, I see his email before he passed, and it just makes, oh my gosh, it just warms my heart. So that's a little bit different. It's not a letter of intent, but it's still just a message to my kids that they'll have one day that is just really, really special. So here's the bottom line. Most people need at least a simple version of each of these documents. So they don't have to be expensive or complicated. You could even go to Zoom or LegalZoom, or there's another one that I can't remember right now, but there's websites that you could do, and you put your state in there, and it kind of helps you and walks you through a will. Just make sure you sign it and maybe even have it notarized, and then let somebody know that you have it. Save it somewhere, put it so somebody knows at least that, hey, by the way, I have a will in my firebox in my closet, right? I just think it's so important to have clarity for your family and guidance when they're probably going to need it the most. If something happens to you and you're no longer here to speak for yourself, then having something in place is really going to be helpful for them. Which leads me to my next point, protecting your legacy and providing peace of mind. If you don't have a plan in place, The state decides what happens to your money. The state decides what happens to your property. And in some cases, even who takes care of the kids, which is even hard to say. The state can dictate who can take care of your children. And I'll be honest, if the state's plan is not normally what I would want for my kids, right? I think that it just could complicate things. On top of that, probate, the court process sucks. It kicks in when someone dies without a clear plan. Probate can be costly. It can be slow. It's a stressful process for many. Like I said, I've seen families wait months, sometimes even years to get through it. And the saddest part is truly that families fight over the smallest things. You wouldn't think it that they do, but they do. I have seen arguments break out over furniture, over jewelry, over a photo album, things that are not maybe of much financial value, but personal value. It's really sad that sometimes it gets really not pretty. So with proper planning, with estate planning, it doesn't just decide who gets what. It reduces conflict and it protects family relationship. Okay. So I encourage most everyone to work on a trust. But here's the flip side. Not everyone, again, needs a complex estate plan. If you're young, if you're single, if you don't own property, if your accounts already have proper beneficiary designations on file, you might be okay with just a simple will and a healthcare directive for now. As your life evolves or as things happen, estate planning grows with you. It should match the season in life that you're in. At the end of the day, the real goal for me is simple: making sure your family is cared for, making sure your wishes are respected, and making sure your legacy lives on with as little stress as possible. So I always like to give some practical takeaways. So here are 4 practical takeaways. Don't wait. Life happens. Start now, even with just the basics. Number 2, review every few years or after a big life change, right? So if you get married or divorced or have a new baby or have an inheritance, make sure you are updating your documents. You don't want to just do it and then 30 years later be like, yeah, I did that once. You want to review it every few years. Number 3, talk about it. Share your wishes openly with your family. Have a conversation with them. A plan only works if people know it exists. So even if you don't want to talk openly about all of your wishes because it's personal or you don't want to offend somebody, at least tell them where you put these documents or who they can call to talk to about these documents. And then number 4, get help when you need it. A financial planner like myself or an estate attorney can save you time, money, and stress. I want you to think of estate planning as an act of love. It's not about money or documents. It's an act of love. It's about protecting the people who matter most to you and making life easier for them when it counts the most. So here's your challenge this week. Take one step forward. Maybe it's checking your beneficiaries. Maybe it's calling an attorney. Or maybe it's finally just writing down your own wishes, pen and paper, write them down. Whatever it is, do something. Your future self and your loved ones will thank you. Just take the right next step. If this episode inspires you, share it with a friend who keeps saying they'll get around to it someday. If estate planning feels big and scary, that's okay. I know it can be. Just take the next right step. Let's make estate planning part of the revolution, because wealth isn't just what you build, it's what you protect. I'm Angela Brooks, and this has been Her Money Revolution. Until next time, keep building, keep believing, and keep blessing others along the way. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you are feeling more empowered in your financial journey. Remember, follow and subscribe to Her Money Revolution on your favorite podcast platform, and share your feedback by leaving a review. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway from today's episode. Until next time, stay inspired.